Okay, let's kind of get rolling. We have a 17 here. Okay. First of all, welcome back, everybody. Hope everyone is safe and healthy. Today, let's go over today's plan. So just a reminder, for those that haven't seen the email, we are back in class on February 2nd. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going over my notes quickly. I want to make sure some changes over the last class. So let's go over what we're going to do today. We're going to go over or review last week's lab. I apologize, it's kind of a little laggy. Last week's lab. Oh my Lord, last week's. We're going to go over expectations. So that everyone understands how the weeks are going to work when we're working through the labs. And then we will work with our new Dimba file, which we're going to make. And then I'll give you guys to work on lab number 2. I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions? Any last minute? 18 people in right now, so that's good. Anything at all? We're good. Awesome. So just as a reminder, classes will start at 10 after. Generally start like right on time, and it's important that you show up for class on time. Reason being is at the beginning part, we review last week's lab, right? So that's kind of key because I go over what everybody's done, had errors with, so that you can make the corrections, okay? So if you show up 10 minutes late, you possibly can miss what all the corrections are, because on the feedback on your labs, it may be specific. It may say, see me in class. You may miss it because I go over it each week at the beginning of the class. So for me to type in everyone all the issues, it's not productive. So if you didn't get perfect on last week's assignment, and you didn't, I might have put a comment, may or may not put a comment. It will be because I'm going to cover it the following week, or in this case, in today's class. So to review. So if you're not sure after that, after I talked about it in class, then because usually the mistakes are generally consistent across the board, so I touch on everyone. So from a productivity standpoint, it doesn't make sense, and it's hard to clarify sometimes if I don't have your spreadsheet in front of me. So I might type in just see me in class. So if you don't receive a perfect score on your lab, see me in class if I haven't already covered it over the review over last week's lab. Does that make sense? Because you have to make the corrections. Remember, the grade, the assignments or labs that we're handing in is continually growing, and we're editing it every week and growing it and growing it. So you need to make the corrections. If not, the marks will continue to get deducted off. All right, so that's just a little bit of a heads up. So let's go over some of the issues from last week. So some of the issues were attention to detail. This is key, folks. For example, some of you may not have put the age, or you didn't put the postal code, or you didn't put a header. Okay, so take your time. I find most of the time, for those that are a little fluid or really comfortable with spreadsheets, whether it be Excel or Google Sheets, tend to blow through the stuff without reading the instructions. Keep in mind, we're looking at it from an example where we're hired or we're working for a company that has asked us to create these spreadsheets. So if there are mistakes that are made, we need to make sure that we're following the instructions to the letter. So it's really, really important. And I'm going to really follow on this when we get into it, because I'm going to be looking at anything that's not, again, let's look at our objective is to create a professional spreadsheet that's effective and professional looking. So we need to make sure we're doing, so if something is spelled wrong, a capitalization isn't correct, anything, I'm going to deduct marks from it. Okay, so take your time with it. Okay, and generally it comes into the instructions. So usually it's because people are trying to blow through it and get it done and check. You will continue to lose marks. So just to recap that. So last week I asked you to do age. This week in lab 2, if you don't put in the age, you don't make that correction. Guess what? Next week, this week, you're going to get deducted alpha age again. So you continually get hit until you make the correction. Okay. Any questions with regards to that? And it'll become more relevant once we start going through the example. But the attention to detail is key. That's where you'll get marks deducted most of the time. All right. Because I give you, I'm here to help you in the class for anything that we talked about. Usually it's just people rushing and not listening. The other one is some of you, which didn't deduct marks, but just to let you know, some of you filled in cells, some of you created borders. This is something going forward. I'm going to ask that you remove them from your spreadsheet because a formula that I like using that kind of, it's just like accounting, right? If you do something in a certain order, it's less likely to make mistakes. And it'll become more relevant as we kind of get going through the examples. But any borders or fills, what I use is like making it look pretty. Okay. Anything that makes it look pretty, for the most part, we save to the end. Okay. So save it for the last thing that we actually do. So if you have filled in your cells and you put in your borders, I want you to remove it when we bring it into the new spreadsheet today, okay? And then some of you didn't do headers at all, just like I mentioned here. So, and make sure spelling as well was an issue in some cases. Okay. That was about it. There wasn't too many issues, but generally it all falls under this attention detail. This is going to become your nemesis because I'm going to get so picky to make sure it looks just right, right? Because think of it this way. If you were asked to create a spreadsheet and you were to hand it in to your employer or somebody that hired you, and they found a formula, one part of it that was incorrect or wasn't working, what do you think they think about the rest of your spreadsheet? What might they can come to the conclusion of? Hello? What do you think is going to come to the conclusion? If you don't do it correctly, they find an error.
An incorrect spreadsheet, obviously, I'd say, right?
Absolutely, it'd be incorrect, but what will they think of the spreadsheet in general? Can they trust it?
Absolutely not, no.
No, absolutely. So, and all it has is take one, it could be just a typo, it could be a small little thing, even though it could be this massive thing, everything's for the most part is 100%. They find one little mistake, all of a sudden it's all garbage because they find it. So that's why it's really, really important. Attention to detail is key. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
If not, yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so I removed my fill-in borders, but when it comes to like looking pretty, I bolded my headers. Is that okay, or should I take that off too?
I would take those off too. And I'll explain why when we get into it more.
Okay.
All right. Okay. let's get into it. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to go grab the information from your DC Skills Camp, and you're going to copy and paste that into a new file called Dimba.
So we're grabbing the information from the old spreadsheet.
Yep. Because I don't want you, there's no point. You don't need to duplicate it.
Got you.
Okay. So it's just easier. Go grab it. And then I want you to create a new one. And we're going to label it Dimba. So this is going to be, Dimba is going to be our working copy that you're going to work on in class. And then for your lab 2, it's going to be very similar, not identical. Okay. A lot of times I have students, they copy and paste it in, they take stuff. It's not the exact same. And that's what I watch for. So I make sure you follow the instructions. So I'm teaching you the applications to it and the expectations. And then you're going to apply what you learned from the Dimba file into the DC Skills Camp file. And then you're going to submit the DC Skills Camp file to me on DC Connect. All right. So once you have done that, can you just hit raise your hand so that I know where we stand?
How do we like copy what we did before? Do we go to file and then make a copy, or is there?
So a quick way, if you want to just copy it, you can just click over here in the top right-hand corner, right click, and you can hit copy. And then you can paste it right into it, into a new file.
So we don't work over it?
Nope,
Like,
because that's going to be different, because this is going to be 2 different files. One's the Dimba and the other one is the DC Skills Camp. We are not touching the DC Skills Camp right now.
Okay.
So after we copy it, you want us to put it into a new one, or sorry, I forgot that part.
Once you've copied it, you're not going to do anything right now. You're just going to wait. We're going to wait.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Derek,
Yes.
just a quick question. I missed last week's class. I was not in country, so I wasn't able to attend.
Okay.
Is there somewhere that I can catch up?
So yeah,
I'm just
I
a
recorded.
little lost.
Yeah, you would be a little lost. So I would recommend, Josh, it's kind of just to listen and kind of follow along what I'm talking about today, and then watch the in-class Zoom class, the class recording. I posted it on D2L. And then go ahead and go through that, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Because you'll easily get caught behind. All right, so once you've done that, raise your hand. So I know, so we can move on. We got 2 of you. Good job, thank you. No one, thank
Derek.
you. Yep.
Sorry, so we're just supposed to copy it first?
Yep, just copy it in right now. And then
Okay,
if you have bolds or borders or color, just delete all that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
In the Dimba one, leave. I mean, you could do the other one as well, but just work in the Dimba for now. Good. I also asked that, just like the other class, we have quite a range of expertise. We have some that are very novice to spreadsheets, and we have some that are really good. So for those that are really good, I ask that if you know of something a little bit different on the way I teach it, or know a shortcut, please share it. There's always constant updates and things. I try to stay on top of it. But if you know something that maybe is a little bit easier or better, by all means, let me know. And for those also that know it well, be patient, because the stuff that we're doing is relatively basic. We get into it. But again, remember, the idea is that we're not going to get all the ins and outs within spreadsheeting, but how to create professional ones that you can use in the workforce. I think that's more important, because they're always doing all kinds, just like they did a new one, split cells, which is a new shortcut they have. I think you could do it before, but it was a kind of a back way of doing it. But now they've actually created a proper tab for it, which is kind of cool. So 9 of you.
Excuse me, Gary.
Yeah.
Do we just rewrite this, or is there somewhere we can find this token out?
Rewrite. You're going to copy your DC skills camp that
Yeah.
you, right? And then you're going to create a new file. So you're going to open up a new file and you're going to label it Dimba.
Okay, thank you.
And then you're going to paste it in there so you don't have to retype it all. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you. So we're just waiting on 10 of you. Let me know if you need help. Raise your hand once you've completed it. Thank you, Dawson. Shane, thank you. Okay, so if you want to know how to copy it over, we're just going to click right in the top left-hand corner there. That highlights both the rows and columns. You're going to right click, you're going to hit copy, and then you're going to go to your new file. We're going to label it Dimba. So you basically have to open up a whole new one. Don't work within the sheet. You're going to don't create a new tab. You're creating a whole new file. All right, 12 of you. Another couple minutes. I'm gonna unplug my pen. Okay. So I'm assuming because it's quiet, everyone's either done it or forgot, but raise your hand to make sure that once you've completed that. And let's get going. All right, so we have our new Dimba file, right? We've labeled it Dimba. Down in the bottom here, you will say sheet 1. You're going to rename it, and it should be very similar to, whoops, sorry, my mouse is a little laggy. Why is it jumping?
So we're creating a new one and like naming it Dimba and then doing what we're doing here.
Correct. So
Got
you're
you.
copying the information in. Yeah. So we've got 2 separate files. So we're going to rename this one. Your tab should be membership. I'm just going to hide this one. This is mine. Just disregard those. Oh. Got it. Mine's going to be membership 1 because I can't have the same 9. Okay. So then down at the bottom, you'll label yours membership.
We gotta have 3 copies.
No, you're not going to have 3 copies. Hold on one second. I got the wrong screen, I think. There we go. No, you're not going to have 3 copies. It's just because I have, let me just delete this one. Okay. So you're just going to have one that says membership. All right. So let's just do a quick little walkthrough. So yours should look something like this. Disregard this over here. That's just for my own information. So yours should look something like this. It also should also have headers in there, but I just wanted to give you an idea of kind of what yours have looked like. So just as a quick, right, when I'm making reference to these are columns. And then these are rows, right? So if I click on the wood, this is in column B, row 2. So it'd be known as B2 is the name of the cell. All right. So let's just do a quick little, we're going to talk about some good habits. So for starters, if you're typing something and you make a mistake, so say you entered in a name, instead of using the backspace, let's say this is, you misspelt it wrong. Instead of doing that, always use the undo, especially it becomes more relevant. For those that are fluent in it, that's fine. But I'm trying to create some good habits, especially when you get into entering formulas. We want to use the undo. If you hit, why is it? If you hit the undo, it brings it back. Sometimes if you don't do that, you could accidentally touch onto a cell or brush it with your hand, especially if you're working with a D-pad on your laptop. And it can put something in the backdrop. It could format it differently. And then when you ask me for help, it's really hard to find out because if I go to enter it in, it doesn't work well and I can't solve it. And generally what I found is that you've tried to fix it. So stop trying to fix things and just undo things. Does that make sense? Right? Sometimes we get into it and we're going, oh, we're going to change this, and we type in a new problem and a new, just undo it to the best spot where it was and then start again. Okay. So we're going to use this little undo icon up here. Now, this whole area up here is known as the toolbar. Now, there's also known as shortcuts. So if I'm clicking on a cell and I right click, okay, it shows you lots of shortcuts that you need to do, whether it be insert, copy, paste, rows, and so forth. But for those that are struggling, what I want you to kind of get in the habit of doing is using the toolbar. So when it says file, edit, view, you can see all the options that you have for the sheet. And the reason I want you to do that is that if you click on a cell and you right click, this is limited, right? They have it down here, view more, but you're limited to what you can do. So it's a good habit if you get stuck where things are, is to use the toolbar, use the pull downs, because it will list all of them, okay? So if you're really stuck, that's what I want you to get into. Try and not use this shortcuts. If you're comfortable using the shortcuts, that's fine. But if you're stuck, it's because generally you may be not up into using the toolbar, okay? The other thing I want to talk about is that when we're talking about text, so words, okay, when we type in text, you'll notice something, okay? It left justifies it, or it aligns it to the left, depending on how you look at it on the screen, but to the left, right? If you enter values, right, so which are numbers, it justifies it to the right, okay? So that sometimes is an issue. And going forward, remember the objective here is to make professional looking spreadsheets. Anything that is text, we want to keep it to the left. So that's fine. So we don't need to go through all that other stuff unless it's either heading or a title. So we'll go through that example in a minute. All values, so all values, I want to have center justification. So how would we do that? Well, if we're using our rule of thumb, we'd go up here and go format. We'd go to alignment and we'd pick center. Now here you can see you can either left, center, or right, top, middle, or bottom within the cell. We want to keep it center. So now the cell or the value is in the center. Okay. So I think that's all I wanted. So remember, errors, anything that make mistakes, we're going to go back. Okay. We're going to use the undo. So now that we have our Dimba file, let's go to their website and see what it looks like. So here's Dimba's website. So if you type in Dimba or Durham Mountain Bike Association, this is what it looks like. This is their website, right? So we're assuming that we got hired by Dimba to create a spreadsheet or spreadsheets once we finish the semester. But for now, we're going to work on the membership. So if you want to look at through, you can kind of peruse through and see what they're all about. But we're going to create a membership and we're going to look here and see what kind of information that they look at. Oh, so let's have a look. So they have full name, a date of birth, gender, which we're not going to use, address. We're not going to use complete addresses. I mean, for the papers, the postal code is fine. So we'll just use postal code. The phone number. So we didn't put a phone number. We're not going to use that here. We can if we want. Actually, we will. We'll put a phone number. Email. So that's something. We're going to have to add that to our spreadsheet. Password we're not going to do. And we have a choice of memberships. So we're going to have to add that as well. All right. So let's start doing that. So new share. All right. So I'm just going to clean up my spreadsheet here a little bit because we don't need it. All right. So let's put headers and let's get a header in there, some headers. So if we want to do that, we're going to insert. So I can either use a shortcut, but like I said, I showed you guys. Let's get in the habit of not for now. Insert. So we go across our toolbar, insert, rows. There's a row, one above. And let's put that in there. So it's capitalized, make sure it's capitalized, right? We're making it look professional. Last, date of birth. Date of birth, punctuation, age, city, make sure our spelling is correct. So our sport. This is our level. All right, so we put those in.
Hey,
Now,
Derek.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just for the first lab I did, I just put the name all as one. Like, do you want me to do first and last? Like
Yeah.
fields?
So that's a good question. I wasn't sure if there was anyone in this class that did that. So for those that did that, let me show you quickly. So some people have done that and it happens. But what's kind of cool is they've actually made a shortcut now for us. So if you have done that, watch carefully here. I'm going to highlight these two names. I'm going to go to format, sorry, data, and they actually have it now set up where it's called split text to columns. So I click that and it automatically splits the first and last names and recognizes it. So you would select all of them, go to data, hit split text to columns, and it will automatically do that. So if you have done that, go ahead and do that now. All right. So I also mentioned we'll talk about the text and making it look pretty. We'll do that later, but we'll kind of, for the most part, let's get in what we need to know. So from the Dimba website, we know that they want email. So where should we put email? Should it be after level? Where do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't know why. Would you put that there, sir? I don't know.
That's a good question. So that's what right was where we're starting at. So think about it. It's contact information, right? So it's stuff about that student, or not student, but that person. So date of birth and age, well, they're kind of associated, right, with personal info. City, postcode, that's their age. So it could go sport and level are together. So if it's contact information, I mean, I would probably put it maybe before or after the postal code as the address. So actually, let's do that. Let's put it after. Insert one column to the left, so you can go insert. Sorry, I'm in the habit of using the shortcuts, but insert column to the left. And we're going to type in email. And now I have emails. So you don't need, I don't really care, just generic ones. So it can be Gmail, so it doesn't have to be for all intents purposes. Okay, so you guys can grab one, copy it, fill it out, whatever you want. The email doesn't exact email, but just make it look like an email. So it asks us to do that. And then what else did it had? It had, oh, it had a phone number. So city, age, email, I probably contact info. So maybe here again, right after it. So insert phone number. And again, we don't need to have, I have some random phone numbers that I've made up. So I'm just going to copy and paste them. But you're just going to, just random ones. They don't have to be real. They're just made up. Again, we're not here to share everyone's information. Now, I talked about doing pretty stuff last. Here's the only kind of exception is when here, see when I enter the emails, how it's being cut off. Okay. What a lot of people do is they grab this column width right here, you see the little arrow, they grab it by pushing down and they drag it over. Okay. And then they're constantly doing this, moving it back and trying to adjust it. A shortcut to fix all this, because this is something I talked about attention to detail that I will ding you on because it's not, it's buried in behind. If you hover over to get the highlighted where the thick bold in the column and you just double click, it'll automatically adjust the column width to the minimum amount allowable so that nothing is hidden. So now when you look through, nothing is hidden. Okay. So if you have that on your spreadsheet, it could be a name, could be a first name, could be a last name. That's an ideal way to make sure that it's not doing that. Okay. So don't grab it and drag it. I mean, that's, you're learning something new advanced. Just click on it and it automatically adjusts the column width. All right. So we had email, we had phone number, level, and there was one more. Oh, membership type. So let's create that. Type. And again, you can see how the heading is going to overseed into the other column. So I'm automatic right now. I'm just going to double tap it. As I see it happen, I do with it right away. Because again, it's those habits, attention to detail. That way you don't miss it. All right. So to take it one step further, I'm going to add to our headings. I'm going to insert another row above. Because this says first, I'm going to make this kind of group them up a little bit. And I'll show more next week. But so I'm going to make that name. I'm going to call this, oops, personal info. I'm going to call this one address. This one contact info. And sport and level, I'm going to leave alone. And membership type, I'm going to leave alone. All right. So now we have our headers in place. We have top and bottom, so we're good. We have everything that's required from their website. So now let's make life a little bit more professional. So let's look at the dates for the date of birth. Now, what happens is when people are entering data, we're trying to eliminate errors, just like in accounting. Remember, if you make one mistake, it has a trickle-down effect. So the more we can make it idiot-proof, we're less likely to have mistakes. We can do that. So, and then what I mean by that is sometimes people will have a date of birth that's like that. The problem is no one has any idea, or let me rephrase it. Let's get that example. Which one is the month, day, or year? And we run into those issues. So to help eliminate that, or the other thing that pops up is a misspelling or a typo. I've had that when I ran a competition a couple of years back. We had people that had a typo where they'd put it was August 25th, 25, right? Because they accidentally typed it in wrong. So it made a mistake. So then when it went through to putting people into the right category, we had issues. So let's delete all the dates, because we're going to have a cooler way to do it, and we start getting into some cool stuff. So one of my favorite ones is called data validation. So across the top, you have file, view, insert, format, and data. Data is the one we're going to go to quite a bit today. So it's called data validation. If you scroll down, you see data validation. And basically what this does, it allows any data that goes in there that it validates that it's correct. So you can't mess it up. So it kind of takes the error out of it. So it's asking us the very first thing when you hit data validation, cell range. So it either shows you the cell. So in this case, it's C3. We're going to highlight it. So we're going to highlight the cells. So C3 to C12. We're going to hit OK. We are not going to, now the criteria said it has to, whatever data that we put in there has to meet this criteria. In this case, we want it to be a date. We want to make sure it's a valid date. You have options equal to before, but we're not going to worry about that. It's a valid date. We're not going to have reject the input. Reject, if you hit click reject the input, what happens is that every time someone who's trying to sign up, it just won't work. Like, you know, when you type something in and you're like, oh, is it not working? And you're thinking you're doing something wrong, and it's very frustrating. And that's what we don't want, right? We want to be able to help people sign up. So we want to show the warning, and we want the validation help. So we're going to click validation help. So when they click in it, it actually tells us. So in here, it says enter a valid date. I'm going to change this to pick. It could be anything you want, but pick date. Actually, date of birth from calendar. Okay. And that way, when there's an error or someone's typing it, it gives them some help. Oh, I'm supposed to be picking it from a calendar versus them keep trying and trying. So we're going to hit save. Now, when you double click on the cell, so on my name, Dirkran, if you double click on the cell, a calendar pops up, which is pretty cool. So now I can actually pick my date of birth. Now, unfortunately, there's no quick way. Some programs have it built into their website. We don't have that opportunity right now. So we're going to just kind of randomly pick some years for everyone. So you just double click. And you can see what starts happening is the formats are a little different. We're going to address that in a second. So we're going to randomly just put in some dates. I really don't care what they are. It doesn't matter. Because again, this is what the person signing up for Dimba. Okay. So you can see how it kind of spit out some different views. And this is the spreadsheet trying to help us. Sometimes when something comes up, it's the spreadsheet, will it be Google Sheets or Excel? I'm trying to say, oh, I see what you're doing here, let me help. And that can be a real pain in the ass sometimes. So we're just going to assume. I mean, it's helpful sometimes, but for the most part, we're good. We'll do it ourselves. So here we have one format where it says the short form for November is NOV. Yet we have the next one showing NOV. November spelled out completely. So from a professional standpoint, again, our objective is it's not looking professional. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight those. I'm going to go to my toolbar. I'm going to look for something that says format. Format. Now, every cell is formatted number. So when you go to number here, it pulls down everything to do what's going on in that cell. It gives you options. Currently, right now, it defaults to number. Okay, so number has its own thing. So when it's being put in, it's kind of like, oh, what do you want it to do? But what we want it to do is be date. So if I click on date, boom, now everything is in the same format. However, I told you why I don't like using this format. A lot of companies use it. I find it frustrating because it leaves sometimes errors and it comes up all the time. Somebody will get them mixed up because you don't know the age of the person or the capabilities, the computer capabilities of the people entering the data. So I don't like this format. So I want to change this. So I'm going to go back to format. I'm going to go back to date. And if I go down, I say, oh, date has many different options. I can actually put the time, date and time, how long. You can even go down to the bottom and you can have a custom date and time. So whatever format that you want. But I like this one here. It's pretty September 26. Oh, wait, I get that, right? Everyone understands what that is. So I'm going to pick that one. I don't even like this one here where it shows the backslash because anything that can lead to errors, it's just like accounting. I try to eliminate it. I want to be simplistic and simple and effective as possible. And I like this one here specifically. I don't need the whole month to be spelled out. I'm trying to save space on my spreadsheet. A lot of people spread it out. At the end of the day, we want it to be compact so it fits properly. So I'm going to click that one. Now we're all set. They all look the same. There's no confusion as to when the birth dates are. And we're all good. Everybody with me so far? Okay. Let's do the same for age. I remember I wasn't gonna do it, but screw it. Let's do it anyways. So let's delete this age for now. Let's go to data validation. I love data validation. It's so cool. It's so helpful. So if I didn't highlight that, I could have done it here. Same thing. Collect the cell range that I want it to apply to. Okay. List from range. Nope. We want to pick a number. And we want the age. So we're assuming that we're going to do ages, say from 15. Actually, let's make it legal age. So it's like it's 19 to 55, because maybe for some insurance reasons, 55 is pretty old. And we won't be helping anyone. Dimba won't be working with those people. Okay. Do we want to show a warning? Yes. Validation help? Yes. Click. Yeah. What do we want it to be? So we're going to say enter. Actually, I'm going to make it real. Any age must be between 19 years old. Years. 55 years old. Okay, we're gonna hit save. Now that's applied to this. So then it helps. So what happens now, say a 15-year-old types it in, and you get a little highlight in the corner, and it says right here, now invalid, input must be a number between the age 19 to 55 years old. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So it keeps everybody in check. So let's do that. And now we don't have the issue. So now I'm going to randomly put in some ages again. Oh, 65, it doesn't work. And that must be between, perfect. 55 years old. I don't lie about my age. Randomly pick some ages. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the dates and all that doesn't apply. No, I'm not worried about that right now. Perfect. All right. So that's done. Now for the sport, we've entered emails. That's good. For the sport, we're going to delete the sport. Oops. I'm going to delete all the sports because we're going to change it because this associates with Dimba, right? So we're going to make life easy, again, making choices. So I'm going to click just off the cell. And this is kind of important. If you look at the column that I'm picking, it's off the range of the spreadsheet that I'm working on. Okay, and I'll explain that later. So it just makes life a little bit easier. Let me just get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. So what I will do sometimes is I will just put a little heading so I know what's going on. And in this case, because it's a bike company or a bike association, we're going to put BMX as an option. We're going to put road. We're going to put MTB, mountain bike. And we'll put cross bike. Those are 4 options. Now, again, to keep it simple that people can follow our categories, and it allows Dimba to associate, okay, what level we're working at, what type of bike rider are these people. We're going to add that. So we're going to use our data validation again. Data validation. Cell range, which cells do we want this applied to? Well, to all our sport. So that's good. List from range. Okay, so here we go. So we want a list from range, and this is the range that we created right here. So it's asking us, where is that range? So we're going to click on the thing, and we're going to highlight, not the sport, because that's the title. We just want them to choose between either BMX, road, mountain bike, or cross. And we're going to get OK, and you can see it picks the cells L16 to L19. Okay. We're going to check the box to show a drop-down list in cell. If this isn't checked, people don't see it. So that's kind of cool. We're going to show a warning. I always like having a warning. It helps when there's, right? But let's clarify it. Click enter value from range. We're going to just type in pick a sport. And then we're going to hit save. And this is where things get kind of cool. When we click on it, now we can see that all the pull downs are there, and we get to choose whichever ones we want, which is super cool. Again, because it keeps it simple, so people aren't randomly picking their own or doing anything crazy. I'm just randomly picking some. Perfect. All right. So let's do the same for level, because some people might put, there might be some confusion. And I think in the Dimba website, they actually use novice. So I'm going to create another one. So I'm going to put level. And I'm going to put novice. Because this gets sometimes confusing because people don't really know how to classify themselves. Novice. Idiot. And advanced. Okay, so you have your 3 choices. I'm going to delete all these ones that are sport. Data. Data validation. Click the cell range if you didn't already, and then highlight it again. You can do it either way. List from range, yes. Where are we grabbing the range from? Down here, we just want novice, their choices to be the 3. Show drop to check. Show validation type. At the level. Hit save. Boom. Levels are all there now, which is kind of cool. So it's really clear as to what's expected. So I'm going to fill those out. Everybody with me so far? You guys have been a pretty quiet group. If you have any questions, speak up. Now we want to do the last one, membership type. So while we're now on this data validation, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to create another one. We're going to use data validation. Now the membership type, you don't have it still up on your computer. It was youth. I was say it's junior. That's not youth membership. And then it was adult membership. Remember, we're getting all this information from the website, right? This is why it's so important that we associate with the business so that we can kind of make it sync to what they're doing. And we'll get more into that when we talk about prettiness and all that, as we look at the colors that they're using, so it jives into their color scheme or their marketing program. Adult, it's not membership, it's adult. What is it? Supporter, that's it. So it's a higher level, so I think you pay more for that. And then there was family membership. And then family supporter. Those are your options. All right. There. I'm going to hit data validation. It's a cell range where I want it to go. Okay. Pick the range. Make sure we don't hit the title. Okay, because if not, the title will be in the pull down. We don't want that. Show a warning. Show validation help. Membership. Just something that helps them. Anything that it can be worded. I don't care really what you put in there. Just something that kind of ties in so that people helping these people signing up, they know what they're supposed to be doing, right? Whereas because we need to assume that people aren't computer literate, so it helps them sometimes. Anything that makes it flawless. You've all been on websites where it's really frustrating to navigate, and then there's some that are seamless, right? It's because people take the time to do it properly, and their attention to detail and some stuff is really good. All right, boom, membership done. So I'm just going to randomly pick stuff. There's no point whatsoever, but you might start seeing some certain things that might be a concern propping up. Now, you can see on these cells, remember I said about this is where I'm going to ding you for marks. Yes, everything works, but look, it's outside the column width. So I showed you before about how to fix the column width. We're going to go up here. We're going to see that the cursor hovers over the line between K and L, and you can see it goes bold. We're going to double click when the little arrow is there, and it'll automatically adjust the width so that you don't have that. Okay, So those days of dragging, whoops. Those days of dragging, what happened? Oh, I hit hide. So here's a perfect example, right? I'm trying to use my D-pad because my mouse is really laggy for some reason. And look what happened. I'm looking down at something and now I've hidden the cell. So this is what I'm talking about. Now I could either go in, I fix it because I know what wrong, so I could go back and fix it. But the best way to do it is just undo. Go back to their undo on the toolbar and let it go back. Okay. That way I don't mess it up. Because I could have gone in and try and fix it and I could be down this rabbit hole. Okay. So we're not going to do that. So no more dragging of the cells wide and all that. Right. We're just going to double click and we're going to make the width. All right. All right. So the only thing now is let's just address when we talked about earlier about text and values being justified. So all the text we said is left justified, so that's fine in the data. But all the headers, I said, is the only example where we want to have them centered. So we're going to go to Format, Alignment, and you're going to go to Center. So they're all centered now. Remember I said about values. So anything with numbers, as far as the data, we want to be centered and justified as well. So we're going to go to our toolbar, Format, Alignment, and then go to Center. Now, some of you may know that if you right click, you can do the exact same thing. There's also shortcuts up in here. There's multiple ways to get around it. But for the most part, I'm just going to always get in the habit of going up here so that you see the full range of your options. All right.
Sir, so which one did you want centered? Was there a certain, all of them or just a couple?
So the only ones we center are headings and titles, right? So all these headings and titles and values. So anything with a number, just a number, gets centered. Okay, it's not
Okay.
mandatory, but it's a thing that looks really clean when we're creating professional looking spreadsheets. Okay, because what happens, you get some inconsistency. So once we set that bar, say, okay, look, this is the way we're always going to do our spreadsheets. Life is good that way. Okay.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Right there.
Yep.
How do I add the like the headings? Like I have like the first and last, but like the name, personal info, and all that.
Yep. So we're going to highlight a row and we're going to go up to Insert, Row, and you're going to insert one row above.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Now, for those, that's all I'm going to go into this. Now you have the rest of the class to work on the assignment. Okay. So now you're going to go in. If you've been following along, you can still plug away at this if you want so that you can practice on it. But now you're going to go to your DC Skills Camp and you're going to apply what you learned here. So yes, it's similar, but it's not the exact same. Okay, so be very careful. I'm not asking you to submit your DIMBA. Now you're going to work on your DC Skills Camp and you're going to submit that. And it's modified, Alyssa. Be careful. Read it carefully what it's asking you to do. Okay. So I will post that up now. Boom.
For the skill camp is random information as well, right? Like emails and phone number.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So that's what it should be you're working on. If you haven't finished your DIMBA 1, finish it because we're going to continue to keep adding through it in class every week from here on in, and then you're going to apply it. So if you get stuck, your DIMBA worksheet is your kind of learn to go, what you're working on, and then you can apply it. And then when you go to do your lab, it's clickety click. It's all easy. All right. And that's due at the end of class today. It shouldn't take you that long.
Sorry, for a quick question.
Yep.
For the phone number, do we just put a random phone number?
Yeah, just random phone numbers. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't.
Sorry, how do we split like the first and last names again?
Yep. So. Sure. So let's say yours looks like this. Right? So you're going to highlight the names. Yours, in your case, you'll highlight all your names.
Okay.
You're going to go to data. And you're going to go split text to columns. Should have, why didn't it work? Data. What's going on?
I had the same thing pop up.
No, it's fine, but it usually. There it goes. There it goes. So that's how you do it.
So do I already have to have like another column for like last, like one for first and one for last, or when I press it, is it supposed to automatically just divide it?
It should insert one. If it doesn't, it may having an issue. You can insert a blank one.
Okay.
See if that helps it.
Okay, thank you.
And sometimes these issues that we come across where it may work on mine, but not on yours, could be an update issue. It could be a lag issue. There's always tons of little things. So sometimes we got to just figure it out. Anyone else have any other questions? I'm going to post up the assignment.
Yeah. How do you do the calendar for the day of births again?
So if we go to the calendar, so one sec. So we're gonna, let's say that was, I'm just gonna delete it. So you're gonna go data validation. We're going to pick the range that we want to apply it to. So that will be all of these. We're gonna hit OK. From the pull down, we're gonna pick date. Validate's fine. Show warning, yes. Validation and help, yep. Pick date of birth from calendar. We're gonna hit save. And then now when they click on it, the date pops up.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and then just make sure that you format it correctly so it's the same type of format. They're all the same.
Okay.
Derek,
Yes.
in the sport section, so on the Dimbo, we changed it to BMX Mountain Road, but in the assignment sheet, it doesn't say anything about changing it. Should we just leave it as like soccer, volleyball, whatever they said?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, I just remembered, I forgot to tell you guys why I put these over columns we're grabbing to use for data validation. The reason I do that, because if I was going to submit this, I need those to be there, but I don't want to see them. So what I would do is I'd grab the columns that I want, and I'd you can just either use a view, but I'm just going to hide the columns. So now when someone's looking at it, they're like, oh, look at that, looks nice and clean. That's why we do it. But for now, we're going to leave it open so you guys can see it. So remember, you're making corrections to your previous spreadsheet for DC Skills Camp, right? I'll be back in 1 second. I'm just going to go get some more water. I'm back. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Haley.
Do we split the first and last name?
Yes.
Okay, because it wasn't on the sheet, but we didn't do it last time, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I would do it. The reason, like you don't technically have to, but I would do it going forward. It's just helpful because some
Okay.
people have names that you don't know which is which.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I had another question. One of the points says to justify cells. Is that where we add the row above and put name, personal info?
No,
Is that what you
justifying
mean?
justifying cells means aligning it either to the left or to the center.
Okay, do they all have to be the same or does it matter?
It does matter. So your titles and your headings are all centered,
Okay,
right? So if we look at these, they're all centered, right? And then anything with regards to text is all left. Now it should automatically default that, but some people might have hit something wrong, so we're making sure. And then any values, so numbers, have to be center justified.
okay,
So text remains to the left, numbers in the center, headings and titles in the center.
okay. And then should we be putting that top row that says name, personal info?
Yep, I put those in there as well because we're going to get into adding those next week.
Okay, thank you.
I also have a question. For the sport, do we use the sports that you're using or the ones that like?
So the sport, if you're referring to the assignment, is that what you're the DC Skills Camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just going to leave the sports the way they are.
Okay.
You're not changing them.
Okay.
To add the birthdays, I'm
Mhm.
still having troubles with it. Like it's not working. I've been following your instructions, so I don't know.
Okay, so let's try it together. So we're gonna click under date of birth. We're gonna go to data. We're gonna go to data validation. We're going to select the range that we want to apply it to. I'm gonna highlight them all. Hit OK. We're gonna make sure the pull down is on date. We're going to make sure that it says a valid date. Whoops, sorry, I'm just moving this out of the way. We're going to do click that to show warning. We're going to click that it validation help. So we're going to click that and then pick date of birth from calendar. So it gives people some help. And then you're going to hit save. And it should be there. And then if you take your cursor and double click on the cell, a calendar should pop up. And then just pick a date.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna try that again.
Okay.
Eric, to submit the document, we just take a screenshot showing the calendar.
The entire sheet, but it's showing the calendar. So when you submit it, it should look something like that. So you're going to do a screenshot of the entire spreadsheet, but I want to be able to see the calendar.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, David.
Yep.
You got your date of birth like just in that format. How do I get it to not the calendar? I have that. Just see yeah. I think you know what I mean. Like the May 20, like that format, just of that.
Oh, so it looks like that. Yeah. So I just went to format. Instead of number, you're going to click numbers because it always defaults to numbers. Go down and then you pick.
And then time, or sorry.
Yeah, go down so you pick the date. If you don't see it there, right, you can go to custom and make it. You can go to custom date and time, but then usually it shows that one right there. And then just
the
click on
date
it.
one, sorry.
Yeah, the date.
Okay.
Right, so date. Oops. You don't want it to look like that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I did it wrong.
Yeah, so format, number, and we're gonna click this date down here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I have another question for the birthdays. So if it's like a 2000 number on the calendar, do we have to go all the way back to 2000, or can we just do like,
Just pick anything. It doesn't matter.
okay.
Okay.
Question here, Derek.
Yep.
Just as I'm kind of getting caught up with everything here, I've followed along the best of my ability.
Okay.
Just with the email and the phone number, do I want to put anything there? Am I leaving it blank, or am I just doing of what you've done in the example?
Just do what I did in the example. Just make it whatever numbers you want. Emails doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sir, just quickly, how I had it before, but now I don't have it. Like, I know you were making the email so that you can see the full thing. I can't do that for mine all of a sudden. I did it before, but when I went back to not the Dimba one, but the other one,
Yep.
yeah, it's just staying like that. So can you show me again, sir?
Yeah. So we cursor over and see how it gets the bold so it pops up. And then we have the little arrow. So the
Yeah.
little blue highlights. And then we're just going to double click.
Okay, let me see. Okay.
It's really finicky. You got to make sure that little arrow is right there.
Got it. That was my mistake. Thank you.
Perfect.
I'm still not getting that form of the date of birth there. It's just not coming up for me on my my list there.
It doesn't show it.
No.
Okay, that's okay. And that's what I was saying. This is why sometimes it depends on version. So we're going to go to format. You're going to go to date. You're going to go to custom date and time. If you don't
Okay.
have, do you see that option where it says September 26th?
No,
You don't
no,
have
it's
that.
not even there for me. No.
That's okay. So we're going to go to custom date and time. And you're going to pick the very first, well, whatever one that you like. Say August 5th, 30th.
I still don't have that exact thing anywhere on here.
You scroll down. Are
Yeah.
you're in Google Sheets, right?
Mhm.
Okay, just making sure.
My MacBook, yeah, I've so many problems with this MacBook, but
It's okay.
I don't have that.
It could be just an update thing. So what are your options? Do you have anything that has the date in front, like the actual month written out?
Yeah, I have a short form. This is like August 5th, 1930, like the
There
whole
you go.
thing.
Use that one. Click on that. Hit apply. And then you should be good.
All right.
And then if it doesn't pop up, now it should, when you go to format, if you go here, it should be here as when you're like your last options that you printed before.
Yeah, I see it there.
There you go.
Thanks.
Hold on here.
Can we leave, Eric? If we're done.
Yeah, once you guys are done, you submitted, you're good to go.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
You guys
Bye.
next week.
I'm not sure what I did wrong. I was trying to switch it to like the birthdays how you have it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just highlighted like blue, and then I can't get like rid of the blue on the birthdays. I don't know what I did. It's not highlighted or anything.
What do you mean by blue?
Like it's all highlighted blue and it won't get off of it.
Like that?
It's like a darker blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what I did.
Can you click off the cell? Like click somewhere
I'm
else?
doing that and it's still the same. Like it's not changing.
Okay. Have you undo?
Okay, yeah, that worked.
Always go when you're always stuck, undo. That's what I mean. That's how easy it is for some. It's a good example, right? Sometimes you don't even know what happened and how it clicked it, but it made something happen where it's a shortcut and it made life difficult. So always go back to the undo to where it's a nice happy place, and then you're good to go.
Okay, and sorry, can you just show me how again, do like how you have it for the data burst? Because I can't find that as well. I can't find where to
Doesn't have that option.
Yeah, it doesn't have that option.
Yeah, no problem. So we're gonna go to format. We're gonna go to the number. We're gonna go down way the bottom, and it says custom date and time. And there should be a whole bunch of options for there to pick. So you pick one, apply it, and pick one. If it's not as updated as this, just pick one that has the month actually written out in front of it, and then hit apply. And then if you only had one cell, now if you go to format, it'll probably be as one of your most recent options, and you can just click on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Problem.
Yeah, I have another you mind just showing me again how to get like the drop down menu for the level and membership type? Sorry, I just like forgot.
Yep. So you've created a spot. See here in my cells.
Yeah.
For levels, I've created this. Right.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do, just gonna delete these for a case, is we're gonna go to data validation. We're going to select the data range. So where it's going to apply. So it's going to apply to these cells. And then it's going to be a list from a range. So the range is what we want. And then we need to pick the data range. So where is it grabbing the information from? So we're going to click on that, and we're going to highlight the three levels. In this case, it's L22 to L24. We're going to hit OK. We're going to click, make sure the drop-down list in cell is clicked. Show warning. Make sure we click the validation help, and we're going to pick a level, and then we're going to hit save. And then it should all be there. And you're good to go.
Thank you.
Okay.